Hello, you beautiful legends, and welcome to Blunt Force Healing Podcast. This is episode number 763, I believe. And it will be a short update. As the day is closing, I decided to record it now, because I don't expect anything to happen. In fact, I need to go to sleep fairly early to make sure that I'm ready and well rested for tomorrow morning, Sunday morning. But let me just give you a quick update about the Saturday. It should be fairly straightforward and short, because the main theme of this Saturday was our small business, which means we were operating almost all day sauna, and it's the first time we deployed the sauna for the whole day. We usually were operating mornings and evenings with a longer break for lunch and kind of that middle day time. But because the day is shrinking, it's shorter, we have much less hours to operate in. We decided to test for the first time and deploy the sauna for the whole day. And it wasn't easy because there's always logistics. Obviously, we don't want to spend the whole day together in Rosnala, and there's always that dinner time that needs to be figured out somehow. So we deployed it in the morning. First thing in the morning, we drove to the beach. It was a low tide. Well, the tide is going out, so we knew that we might be able to get onto the beach. It was already 2.5-3 hours out, and while the beach had a lot of bumps because of the swell and how the waves are behaving, it was hard enough, the sand was hard enough to be safe to drive onto. And so we basically set up the sauna on the beach. We didn't have any bookings, and as some of you might already know, because some of you are following the journey and you might have read or listened to the previous episodes or read the blog posts, you know that it is a very quiet time, the October, and this week is terrible in terms of revenue. Even though we had most of the days operational, we had previous weeks that where we had 2 days off, so we were operating only 5 days per week, and we had better revenue than we have now, operating 6 days. So we had only Monday off, and Friday was so quiet that I didn't have a single customer. So the morning started slow, but we started getting a couple of customers, repeating customers, popping in. And while it was dragging a bit, we started getting some earnings for Saturday, which was a good sign. And then it slowed down a little bit, which was good, because Elizabeth did her walk and Julian did her walk, his walk. And she also did her sauna session in between the customers, which was great. Nobody disrupted her, so that was also decent result of that kind of first half of the day. So around 2 o'clock, 2 something, I think 2:40, so 20 to 3 p.m. I locked the sauna. I left it on the beach because I knew that there's still time before the tide comes in, and I drove to our house. On the way we picked some groceries. I left Julian and Elizabeth at home. They decided to do some meal, and I went straight to the store where I bought extra wood and went straight to Rosnala. I visited on the way. Well, I came to the beach. I fired the sauna back up because obviously the fire went out and was cooling off. So I fired it back up and made sure that it heats up. We've got some booking for 4:30 p.m. I believe. So I still had about half an hour. So I drove to Joe, our friend that has a brew box, a coffee van. Had a nice chat, got some coffee, and went back in just before the people came for the session. And it was great. They enjoyed a shorter session than expected, but it was okay with them. They went for 15 minutes. Actually, 15 minutes are the best value for us in terms of how much we earn. If we would, operate all day with just 15-minute slots, then we would earn the most. Half an hour's sessions are okay, and then if people would be booking full hours, they get better value out of full hour, and we get a bit lesser revenue, but still decent anyway. And as they finished up, I quickly had to wrap up and get the sauna off the beach because the tide was coming back. So I placed it on the ramp. It was packed, so I didn't have space. I needed to wait a little bit, but later on I managed to get the first spot just in front of the ramp. Tide was extremely high. Water at some stage reached kind of 3/4 of the ramp, which was the first time I saw. So it was great. And a couple more customers came in, the repeating customers, so it's great to see them. And as the evening kind of wound down, I used the opportunity that I was almost alone. There was only other kind of family with kids stayed at the ramp. They did some sort of, I think they were staying overnight, so they did some grill and they were wrapping up for sleep. And I used the opportunity that it was pretty quiet and did Duolingo and some other stuff, like I wrote the blog post. And then I did the thing that I am really happy about. I don't want to jinx it, but I mentioned that before. I started doing short meditations, and I'm currently a 12 days streak. It's really about 2 weeks, but I had a day or two break in between at the beginning, but now I'm 12 days in a row, 12 consecutive days meditating every single day. I don't feel a super obvious change, but definitely I feel like I'm learning small chunks of how to perform, how to use properly the meditation, how to slowly kind of dive into that sphere. So great stuff. I'm really happy. I hope it will keep going and I'll maintain that meditation habit and go into deeper and longer meditations, and that it will influence my mental side, because I'm being erratic sometimes and a bit stressed, so it's good for mental side of things. So glad that I started doing it. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate your time. Have a great rest of the day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Stay tuned and see you again tomorrow.